Martha has always been a hardworking woman. Having worked for over a decade at Oprah Winfrey's house, she devoted herself to the host with affection and loyalty. More than just an employee, Oprah considered her part of the family. In recent months, Oprah had noticed something that worried her. Martha still drove an old car, which frequently broke down on the way home from work. She had heard the housekeeper comment on the high maintenance costs, but she never complained. One day, when she saw Martha arrive with the engine sputtering and the passenger window locked, Oprah decided it was time to resolve the situation. "Martha, have you ever thought about changing your car?" she asked casually. Martha smiled and shrugged. "Oh, Oprah, I do, but I always put other priorities first. My car still gets me where I need to go, even with its quirks." Oprah laughed. "Well, I want to give you a present. You deserve a new car. And I'm not talking about just any model. You'll choose the model you want." Martha's eyes widened. "Oprah, you don't have to. I can't accept a gift like that." "Yes, you can, and you will. I insist." Martha was thrilled. She had never expected anything like this, but she knew that Oprah did everything from the heart. With the presenter's encouragement, she agreed to go to a luxury car dealership to choose a new model. At that moment, she still didn't know that the experience wouldn't be as simple as she imagined. The next day, Martha arrived at the luxury dealership in downtown Chicago. It was an upscale place with shiny cars on display and impeccably dressed employees. She took a deep breath before entering. She was excited, but at the same time, she felt out of place there. As soon as she walked through the glass door, she noticed that everyone's eyes were on her. Dressed simply in jeans and a comfortable blouse, she didn't look like the typical customer profile of that place. She walked over to one of the cars and began to examine it. Within a few minutes, a salesperson approached. "Good afternoon, ma'am. May I help you?" Martha smiled, trying to hide her nervousness. "Good afternoon. Yes, I'm interested in that model. Could you give me some more information?" The man looked her over from head to toe before answering. "This car is one of our most exclusive models. It comes with all the factory options and costs about $200,000, he said, emphasizing the price as if he were already making it clear that it was out of her reach. Martha nodded. "Okay, and what are the payment terms?" The salesman gave a forced smile. "Well, maybe we should look at something more affordable? We have simpler models in the other side of the store." Martha felt her face heat up. "No, I want information about this car here," she insisted. Before he could answer, another employee, who was on the other side of the room, whispered something to the colleague next to him. They both laughed discreetly. Martha didn't need to hear the words to understand what they were implying. Her heart sank. She was there to buy a car, to do something that Oprah had provided for her with so much love. But, at that moment, she felt diminished, as if she didn't belong there. Little did she know that everything was about to change. Martha tried to maintain her composure. She took a deep breath and, in a firm voice, repeated, "I want to know more about this car. Could you give me the information?" The salesman let out an impatient sigh, clearly annoyed that she was insisting on something that, in his mind, was out of his reach. "Ma'am, these cars are very exclusive. Normally, we only work with customers who already have a history of buying from our store. But if you want to take a look at something more affordable, I can suggest some pre-owned models." Martha felt a tightness in her chest. It was as if he was telling her that this place was not for her. Before she could respond, the automatic door of the dealership opened. The room, which had previously been filled with whispers and judgmental looks, plunged into a sudden silence. The employees tensed. The customers, who had previously ignored the commotion, now looked at her with curiosity. It was Oprah Winfrey. Wearing an elegant gray wool coat and sunglasses, the presenter walked confidently, accompanied by one of her assistants. Her gaze scanned the room until she found Martha. Without hesitation, Oprah approached and took the housekeeper's hand affectionately. "So, have you chosen your car yet?" she asked with a smile. Martha hesitated for a moment, still feeling embarrassed by the way she had been treated. The salesman, who had been speaking with disdain a few minutes earlier, now swallowed hard. The store manager, noticing the presence of the powerful presenter, quickly approached, trying to remedy the situation. "Ms. Winfrey, what an honor to have you here. If you need anything, I'm at your disposal." Oprah turned to Martha. "Honey, did something happen here?" Martha lowered her head awkwardly, but Oprah had already understood everything. Her sharp gaze turned to the salesman who had treated her indifferently. "Was this employee serving you?" Martha nodded. The man began to sweat. Oprah crossed her arms and glared at everyone around her. The silence in the store was now absolute. She didn't need to raise her voice. Her presence said it all. Oprah Winfrey uncrossed her arms and stepped forward. Her gaze bore into the salesman, who now seemed incapable of making eye contact. "So tell me," Oprah began, her voice calm but full of authority. "Did you offer her the same models that you offer to other customers?" The man opened his mouth, but no words came out. The store manager, feeling the weight of the situation, tried to intervene. "Ms. Winfrey, I'm sure this was all a misunderstanding." Oprah held up a hand, interrupting him. "Oh, sure, a misunderstanding. Like the ones that happen every time someone like her walks into a place like this?" The employees looked at each other, uncomfortable. She then turned to Martha, and with a gentle smile asked, "Which car do you want?" Martha hesitated, still feeling the weight of the humiliation from a few minutes ago. But as she looked into Oprah's eyes, she felt strengthened. She pointed to the luxury model she had liked from the beginning. "That one." Oprah smiled with satisfaction and turned to the manager. "Then I'll buy that car." The manager tried to hide his relief. "Excellent choice, Mrs. Winfrey. We can take you to our office to work out the details of the purchase." But Oprah didn't move. "I don't need to go anywhere. I want the contract drawn up right now. And one more thing." She looked at Martha. "The car will be put in her name." Martha's eyes widened. "Oprah, that's too much." The host squeezed her hand. "No, it's not. You deserve it." The employees were now scurrying around, trying to rectify the situation. The salesman who had belittled Martha was now trying to force a smile as he filled out the paperwork. But Oprah wasn't finished. She looked around and said loudly enough for everyone to hear, "You can hurry up now, but know that the way you treated my friend before you knew who I was shameful." The manager tried to justify himself. "Ms. Winfrey, I assure you that we do not discriminate among our customers." Oprah laughed lightly and shook her head. "Oh, please. If I hadn't come in here, you would never have given her the service she deserves." She leaned forward slightly. "Learn one thing. Respect should not only be given to those who can spend millions. It should be given to everyone." The silence in the dealership was total. Martha held the documents for the new car in her shaking hands. She was still trying to process everything that had happened. The salesman, who had previously looked at her with disdain, was now trying to be friendly, but his false cordiality was fooling no one. Oprah signed the check on sight without even blinking. "There," she said, handing the paperwork to the manager. "The car is now officially Martha's." The manager forced a smile. "Very well, Mrs. Winfrey. I'm sure she'll be very pleased with her purchase." Oprah raised an eyebrow. "She'll be pleased with the car. But the experience? You ruined that." The man was speechless. Oprah then turned to Martha and took her hands in hers. "I want you to remember this, Martha. You don't need my approval or my presence to be treated with respect. The problem here was never you. It was these people's limited vision." Martha smiled, more confident now. "Thank you, Oprah. Not just for the car, but for standing up for me." Oprah smiled back. "Always." Before leaving, Oprah turned one last time to the dealership employees. "I hope you learned a lesson today. Because if I ever come back here and see you treating anyone else the way you treated my friend..." She paused, letting the silence grow heavy. "Well, you wouldn't want to see me deal with injustice a second time." The employees swallowed hard. With one last firm look, Oprah took Martha by the arm and together they walked out of the store. As she climbed into her new car and felt the comfort of the leather seats, Martha smiled, but not because of the luxury. She smiled because, for the first time, she felt like her voice mattered. And that day, Oprah's lesson wasn't just for the dealership. It was for her, too. Now that you've read this shocking story, we need to reflect. How long will people be judged by their appearance? Have you ever experienced this? How many times have you or someone close to you been treated with disdain simply for not fitting the expected standard? Do we still live in a world where money defines who deserves respect? False cordiality. Something curious happened in the story. As soon as Oprah walked in, the employees changed their attitude. But the question is, was this respect genuine or just fear of losing a sale? Oprah's lesson. Oprah showed that no one should be underestimated. Respect should be a principle, not a sales strategy. And what's more, how many Marthas go through this every day without an Oprah to defend them? We want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a similar situation? What can be done to put an end to this type of discrimination once and for all? How can we ensure that respect is shown to everyone, regardless of appearance or income? Don't forget. If you like this story and want to hear more stories like this, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss the next exciting stories. Leave your comment below and join the debate.